hey, extension ladders, really common tool found on every job site, helps us get A to B, but they can cause a lot of issues, right? And they can be quite the hazard if they're not set up properly and inspected. Some issues that we find frequently on job sites are mismatched or damaged ladders, ladders missing their label. Why is that important to even have a label? Well, it's the part nobody likes to read, the instructions. Really helpful. Also, the weight rating, right? If this little sticker, this last little bit, once we lose this, who's to say what it was rated for, right? Some manufacturers, like Werner, for example, they'll use a color-coded system, but we recommend that you guys do an inventory periodically of your ladders, not only for safety, but also to notice and flag this kind of stuff. Your labels that are coming off, because once it's gone, I don't have that serial number anymore, right? You can start to see it's already gone. It's hard for me to buy replacement labels and make sure we're in compliance. So before they're gone, make sure you're getting those new labels ordered. They're not very expensive compared to the purchase of a new ladder. So let's get to our inspection before we're going to use it. Things you're going to look for would be damaged rungs, where something got airmailed down, dropped on it. Why is that important? Well, if you think about the ladder itself, in this case, the extension ladder, each section, what do you see? There are the rungs that you climb, and there are the rails on either side. The rails, if you look at them, they're not so much an I-beam, they're more of a C-channel, right? So that's how they get their strength. They are a structural component of the ladder, and the rungs also play a component in that. Think of a bar truss system that has the lattice going back and forth to give it its strength. That's the role of the rung, right? It combines these two, and together they form a much stronger structural structure here. So I'll get too in the weeds on that. A damaged or dented rung is a problem, and each manufacturer is going to have different rules on how much of a dent is a problem. Consult with them, Werner, Louisville, and others. But often they'll tell you to put a straight edge across and then measure the deflection. Right? For example, a 1/4 inch. If it's greater than a 1/4 inch, a lot of the manufacturers want you to discard that ladder or send it back for repair. A ladder like this, on the lower end of the cost scale, you would just replace it. More expensive ladder. As you know, ladders can be over $1,000 easily, depending on the construction of it and the height. So those you might want to send back to the manufacturer and have them recertify it and replace the damaged component. Moving on for us, just the user leveled visual inspection. What am I looking for? Dented rungs, damaged or deflected rails, right? I want to make sure that my catches there are still spring loaded. So when I would go to raise that and lower it, do those automatically engage? Speaking of raise and lower, how do I do that? You see our first issue, aside from the labels on this ladder. We've used our pull rope to secure the ladder. Now, ladder securing, when you're going to use the ladder to access another working level, whether that's 3 feet off the ground or 18 feet off the ground, you've got to secure the ladder so that when you step off in every equal and opposite direction force, right? So I push off of the ladder is going to want to move. And that is a very precarious position to find yourself in, transitioning from the ladder onto the other work surface. If this that I'm using to stabilize myself either isn't there because it's not extended 3 feet, or it's not secured and it gives, could cause me to lose my balance and fall right there when I'm making that potentially dangerous transition. So how we're going to address that hazard? Make sure we've extended 3 feet here. We're good to go. I can tell that easily because each of these rungs are about 1 foot apart, 12 inches apart. Most of your ladders are going to be at least 14 inches wide and with rung spacing of 12 inches. Pretty much every ladder you're going to use is going to follow that same structure, right? So that's helpful, right? As I'm climbing this ladder, and more importantly, coming back down, I kind of have some muscle memory of where that rung's going to be. If I'm doing a job-made ladder or using a non-OSHA certified ladder, or approved, I should say, that's going to cause me a problem. right? Because it's not going to be where I'm expecting it to be. So the pull rope should not be used to secure the ladder. We got to secure it. Safety guy just said secure the ladder. Pretty much my only requirement is that you don't use the pull rope for obvious reasons now, right? You don't use that pull rope to secure it. When we talk about securing it, OSHA just says it shall be secure. They leave that up to you, us, to make that determination. I'm going to tell you how you can make sure it's properly secured. If I come down and I try to move it and it doesn't move, it's secure. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And you'd be surprised how many times they're very loosely secured and they wouldn't pass this test. But I can't move it. That's great. That gives me confidence that it's going to be there for me when I need it to stabilize myself and get my balance as I make the transition onto the roof surface. All right. Another thing about these labels, right? I just said earlier that that's a place you can find the instructions on how to use the ladder. So it's telling me how to properly use it. What's in a label and in an instruction manual can be telling, what's there, but also what's not. What do you not see on a ladder label? I doubt you're ever going to see, I certainly never have, and I've looked at a heck of a lot of ladders. I've never seen a picture or instructions that say, if in doubt, have a buddy hold the ladder, right? You'll see one that says 3 points of contact, right? Why 3 points of contact, and how do I do that? I can't have 4 points of contact because if I can't move then. I've got to have at least a hand, right? Right. It seems simple, but what can I not do while I'm ascending or descending the ladder properly? If I'm doing it the right way, I can't have anything in my hands. I can't carry anything. How do I get my tools up there? Well, put them in my pocket, put them in my work belt. I can attach that rope, pull it up there later with a bucket or a bag, to pull my stuff up. That's while I'm ascending or descending the ladder. I can't have anything else in my hands. But what if you're like I am right now and I'm stationary on the ladder? I've got to do some work. Well, believe it or not, your stomach can become that third point of contact. That's how they expect you to do your work. So now I can do my task. I can use both my hands. I can get my tools out. I can use the ladder. But before I go to change position, ascend or descend on the ladder, got to put all that back, free up my hands, and then now I'm free to go back and do my ascending or descending. I've got to have my hands free to help me go up and down this ladder safely, because if they're full of something and I go to slip while I'm going up or down, what's there to catch, right? I can't use my hands. So you got to have your hands free. Another item that you're going to want to make sure that you're properly setting up this ladder. I mentioned just a minute ago, you've got some muscle memory when you're going up and down a ladder. That is not only due to the construction of the ladder and the spacing of the rungs being uniform. Ever since 1970, OSHA started adopting ANSI's requirements for ladder construction. It also has to do with the angle that you're setting up your ladder. Manufacturers, OSHA, ANSI, they want it to be 70 degrees. Well, I don't have a protractor out here. And they don't expect you to do that. They want you to, and this is a great rule of thumb here, 4-to-1 ratio. All right, well, I don't have a tape measure. Let's say I don't have that. I'm a really poor excuse of a carpenter if I don't have one, but let's say I don't have it. I'm just doing a quick and visual inspection of the roof. And I come up, how do I know that I've got my angle the right way? I'm going to show you a quick shortcut. It seems like common sense to those of us who have used a ladder. Maybe you never really thought of it this way. Maybe you've never used a ladder before. Here's how you can do it. You put your feet at the base of the ladder and stick your arms straight out with your back straight up. You should be able to grab a rung right in front of you without having to bend your elbow or your back. If it's too steep, right, if it's too close or shallow of an angle, then I'm going to be bending my elbow because I'm going to be so close. Conversely, if it's too much of an angle and I'm out here, I'm going to have to bend over to reach it. So if you're out and you're going to use a ladder, you're about to climb it, that's the last thing you should be doing after you've done all your other visual inspection and making sure it's secured. Make sure it's at the right angle. That way you're not having to climb it all funny and dangerous, ready to fall. So those are going to keep you safe when you're on the ladder. Remember what I said about not needing a second person to hold it. If you're about to go up a ladder and you think, man, I'd feel a lot better if I had a coworker or somebody else here I trust to hold the bottom of this, that's a good stop sign for you, right? I better hold up. Why am I so unsure about my ladder setup? Is my angle wrong? Is my footing not level, right? I'm filming this in West Virginia. There's not a lot of level ground around here. We got to work hard for it. So if you are faced with an unlevel footing situation, you need to take that time to go get the shovel and lower that higher side, right? To make sure that you've got proper level footing. It takes a little bit extra effort, but it's going to keep that ladder from walking away from you. All right, so let's move on to working from the ladder. We go back up the ladder, 3 points of contact, nothing in my hands. I'm going to go up this ladder, right? It seems simple. It seems simple enough. I got to my destination. I'm going to work at this height, do some work, humor me. I'm not moving or anything, so I can use my knees, my legs, my stomach as that third point of contact, and now both my hands are free. But how far can I go off to the sides, right? Before I have to get down and move that ladder. Here's a good rule of thumb. Your belt buckle, the center, right? Your buttons, they should never go beyond this side of the rail, right? If I'm leaning out so far that my belt buckle is going to go beyond this, I need to get down, reposition my ladder. Don't be lazy with your safety. A lot of ladder falls involve guys leaning out, trying to get that last little bit. Please stop. Get down. If you see a coworker doing it, offer to help them. Hey man, let me help you move your ladder. I see you're straining there. Because that temptation can cause you to lose your balance. All right, same thing. I've still got a pretty good wide range here while I'm within the rails. So remember your center there. It's got to stay within the rails of the ladder, right? So we're going to go on up. See you on the roof.